Alrighty. What's up, everybody? Welcome in. It normally takes a few moments for folks to join us here. My name is Tiffany Hillcook, and I run a spiritual practice called The Healing Hill. And my YouTube channel is absolutely an extension of my spiritual practice. Something that I am called to do is create containers of light for individuals to share their light through. And this week, I'm super excited to have our guest, Janise Stoliarova. I met Janise a few years ago through a dream interpretation and channeling course that Michael Sheridan offers. And from there, I mean, I'm constantly pinging her and asking her to interpret or, analyze my dreams. What does this mean? What does that mean? Because she's just excellent at it. But she's so many more things than just that. A brief introduction about Janise here is she's a physicist by day, a dedicated healing practitioner by night in the realm of dreams, channeling, and emotional healing, with a profound belief in the transformative power of our innermost thoughts. She's been trained in dream interpretation and trauma release by Michael Sheridan, founder of the Ashling School, studied with Raymon Grace to perform energetic clearings, studied remote viewing with Joe McMoneagle, and is a featured Galactic Akashic Records reader through Debbie Solaris of the Gaia Network. Welcome, Janise.
Hi, thank you for such a warm welcome. It's good to be back here with you.
Yes, I know. Our souls definitely know one another, even prior to, physically meeting. So
yeah, for sure.
Let's see here. I always like to preface, if you are watching this currently or you end up joining later, please post a question, even just say hello if you'd like. Even if the live event has ended, we can get you answers. And really a big part of, again, creating these containers is for resources. When I was going through a spiritual awakening in 2020, I thought I was the only one that had ever experienced what I was experiencing, which just simply isn't the truth. I just didn't know where to find it. So what I'd like to start with, Janise, if you're cool with this, and this is something that I actually don't know much about, is your galactic partner integration work that you've been doing most recently. Do you mind sharing with me and with us what is a galactic partner? We'll start there. What's a galactic partner?
Well, you just want to cut right to the exciting stuff, don't you? You just want all the answers right away.
I'm nosy.
Well, I will tell you that when I did the first Galactic Partner integration earlier this year, I also didn't know what it was, and I had some ideas, and I thought, I kind of thought, oh, well, I'll be channeling these, galactic beings, and several people went through that integration. It's a live event once a week for 4 weeks,
Okay.
and we all discovered so much, including me. And the beauty for me also was, at the same time, I could look, or they would send me their dreams, and so I could look and see what was showing up in their dreams. And so I learned even more about what exactly I was doing and what we were experiencing. But I have to say, listen to the first set of integrations. There's 4 recordings. They're available on my website. And if you haven't listened to them yet, I'm going to send them to you.
Haven't.
Okay, they are amazing. Part of it is the music that I have with as I'm trance channeling. It helps sort of bring the right frequencies in. I have the music specially made for each integration. I tell the person who makes the music for me, her name is Vera. I tell her, okay, I want it to have these sounds, and I want it to make you feel like, you're in space, or, I give her kind of these esoteric instructions. And then she returns back to me these
Mm,
beautiful sounds that are mixed together very beautifully, and then that plays in the background and sort of enhances the experience.
mm.
So you will learn what is a galactic partner. You will learn a lot going through those recordings. And then once you've done that, take my second one, which starts live November 2nd. So it's
Okay.
I believe that's a Saturday. So
Okay.
it's every Saturday for the next 4 Saturdays, or for the 4 Saturdays in November. Um, and it is, as the guides have told me, and a second step. So if you've done the first, I call it GPI, Galactic Partner Integration. If you've done the first, and like I said, you can just get the recordings. You've done the first one, and then you are prepared. It prepares you. Not only does the first one include a physical clearing, so a
Mhm.
lot of people experienced physical movement in their body that say, to make space for incoming frequencies.
Mm,
And once you've gone through those four, then you are ready for the next step.
mm.
So I don't know how, I really don't even know what's going to come up for this second one. I have so the guides are giving me a little bit at a time, and that's always exciting, because I love when new things happen, when exciting things happen that I don't know what's going to happen. But what I do know is that the first recording needed to have the sounds of whales communicating in it. So Vera has finished that first recording, and I even put up a sample to my tribe. So I have a tribe of current and past clients that
Okay.
we meet every Saturday, and I uploaded the sample for them to sort of preview.
That's beautiful. Do you know who Bashar is?
Yes, I have seen Bashar in person, and I was lucky enough to be able to ask him a question.
Oh, were you really?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, what was your question that you asked him? Do you mind sharing?
Sure. It was a couple years ago,
Okay.
right around the start of the military operation in Ukraine,
Okay.
and there was a lot of nonsense going around about Russia, Russian people, and as you know, Russia is in my heart so
Mhm.
deeply. And so I asked him to talk about how we're all, if we're different, if Americans are any different than Russians, and could he talk about those differences or similarities? And he did a very beautiful job of reminding everybody that we are really just one, and we need to be together.
That's so beautiful. I find him fascinating. I'm a little bit of a quirky person, and I just love him because he's quirky too. Just the way, he's even different than how Abraham Hicks, the way that they present themselves. And I remember one um, sitting that I watched of his on YouTube. He actually was talking about whales, and he talked about them as an overlord. I believe that was the word, and that whales are actually a collection of 12 souls
Hmm.
having an experience together, which is again hard. My brain doesn't necessarily know how to well, I know how to conceptualize that, but I don't quite understand the integration of that. But I think that that's really beautiful.
Well,
Um,
I think the galactic partner integration would be really helpful for you, because one of the things that came out was helping people integrate the experience of timelessness and start to understand telepathy as a normal way of communication,
mm,
and also prophecy, and how prophecy really is not seeing into the future as we think about it in our timeline, because they remind us in the channel that we are timeless. And so they start talking about in that integration how prophecy is really just remembering that you are experiencing all these different dimensions at one time. So what started to happen during that was some of us started to experience multidimensionality. And I won't go on to describe how that looked to us, but it was really profound and interesting.
That's beautiful. And for those curious, in the description box will be Janice's website, where you can access these offerings that she is talking about in particular. What brought you to creating an offering with Galactic Partner Integration? I mean, spirituality is so multidimensional. Some people love tarot cards. Other people love nature, and they, maybe have a plant store, and that's their way of having some sort of soul expression. How did you, what guided you to that? I mean, obviously your life, well, that's not obvious. Tell me more.
Well, as you know, I really scrutinize and look at my dreams. And when there's something in my dream telling me a gift I need to express or a offering that I need to make to bring people together, then I don't hesitate. I just do it.
Yeah.
So I did have a dream that showed me how I was going to sort of switch places with galactic partners and bring them here to communicate with everybody and to sort of integrate with whomever was here for the experience. So it came in a dream, and I did not know what it was going to look like. I just did it.
That's so beautiful. For the most part, in any of the work that I'm doing, I never know what it's going to look like until I'm doing it, which I find to be a very freeing experience, because I don't have to plan for anything outside of being open and, just trusting the information that's coming through. It releases me from a lot of, egotistical responsibility. So you and I are both channels. Would you mind sharing with folks how you identify as a channel, and what that means to you?
Well, yeah. So for me, I feel like channeling is it's more important that you're connected with your guides. And like, I don't feel like channeling is any different than normal communication. So that said, I do, I feel like I access guidance in ways that are maybe different than other people do. I mean, we all have our own way to access anyway.
Yeah.
But so I use this communication mode when I'm trying to get further insight, when I'm looking at people's dreams and my own dreams. I just channel and ask what does this mean, and why would this person be doing this in a dream, and so I'll get that information. Also, I think the thing that I enjoy most about channeling is trance channeling. Which when, of course it showed up in my dreams, like, you're a trance channel, you should be doing this to lead groups. And I thought, oh my God, I don't want to be a trance channel. That means I'm going to be possessed. And, I had all of these preconceived notions about what that meant. And, but one day it happened, and it was for this, for an offering that I had called the Birth Wound Transformation Journey. And I knew that I was going to be trance channeling when I did that. So fortunately, I started doing it just a little bit before that first session. And I really enjoy that because I feel like it takes less energy And talk about having total freedom. You just let go,
Yeah.
like there's
Yes.
still a part of me that is
Mhm.
influencing the message a little bit, because sometimes what comes through is not words. And actually, most of the time, it's not really words. It's just um, thoughts that I have to immediately, like, it's already coming out of my mouth, and I'm not thinking about it.
Mhm.
But sometimes I hesitate to get it out of my mouth, and then the thoughts come, and then I have to try to put that into words that make sense to the person I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Because it's not always clear. Like, language doesn't always translate through channel. But I really enjoy that, and so that's what I do during the birth wound journey. I do it, in the galactic partner integration. I'm in full trance the whole time, and when you do the live sessions, the bonus is that you get to ask questions while I'm in trance, and the messages come out, and they're usually very helpful for everybody. So
Mhm.
they become part of the recording
Mhm.
that is the integration. And, I also go in full trance when I'm doing Akashic Records. I didn't do that in the beginning when I was first, offering it for the first year or so, and even after I, took Debbie's Galactic Akashic Records class, I wasn't trance channeling in it. But one day, what happened was I had an appointment scheduled, somebody scheduled it with me, and I said, "Oh, I don't wanna do that." Like,
Mhm.
I don't want to, and then I realized, well, if I don't want to, then there's something I'm doing that's not joyful to me, so
Yeah.
I need to figure that out.
Yeah.
And then I ask myself, what's joyful, what's easy, what's fun, and that was trance channeling. And so I just changed my website right away, and the
Mhm.
next appointment that I got, I said, "Oh, I trance channel through this." So and it was just like,
Mhm.
so much more information came out, and the feedback that I got from people, was so much more positive, and, they were just saying, like, "That was so helpful." And, um and yeah, at the end of it, I don't really remember what I said.
Yeah. I don't ever remember what I say when I'm channeling. Like, I'll meet with clients regularly and they'll ask, "Do you remember last week when you said XYZ?" And I say, "I don't." It's almost like I leave the building entirely. I wanted to say hi, Miss Rada. I see you. She is here. Hello, Miss Rada.
Uh-huh.
Um, so for me, when I am channeling, and I knew that I was a channel from my dreams, um, the symbols, which I can put this in the description box afterwards, but Michael Sheridan, who taught both Janise and I, has a free dictionary on his website. Um, and so you can go download this, or I just go and end up looking at his website normally. But there were so many indications that I had this ability. I didn't know how to do it on command necessarily. But now I do. And when I channel, it's definitely a warmth in my heart. Trans channeling, though, for me is like I'm taken places. Like I will never forget the first time it happened. I made it stop for starters. I was so terrified. I'll never forget. I was saying grace. I had started to say grace, and I felt all of a sudden I'd felt connected with the angels, and it was like I got shot up out of my body,
Mm.
and I was just getting like, imagine, a comet in the sky. Like that's what it felt like. But I was just going up, 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 and it almost feels like a little bit like a roller coaster ride. It felt like inside of my stomach, and I finally remember just asking them, when is this going to stop? I didn't know I didn't know what the fuck was happening, let alone where I was going. And I just opened my eyes, and I was back in my body. Um, and so for me, channeling versus trance channeling are just two different experiences from a physical sensation for me. Is that
Mhm.
so?
No, and so
True?
yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier, is that's why I hesitated, because I thought, well, I don't want it to feel like something's inside of me or I don't have control. But it turned out that it's not that way at all. I'm
Wow.
definitely still there, and I can talk like I'm there, but at the same time, um, whatever's coming through the channel can also talk. And
Mhm,
usually it sounds different, like it has a
mhm.
different like rhythm, and that's really interesting. But like, so for me, and I think this is what it is like for a lot of people, because I do teach people how to connect with their guides the way
Yeah,
that I do, and a lot of people have said the same thing, and it causes them to not really trust what's happening. But that's that I don't get those grand, the feeling of being shot, whatever, shot up. I don't get that.
yeah,
I'm there. And I did ask my guides one time, like, why don't I have that? Am I supposed to have that? Am I supposed to see all of these, fantastic things and get all these feelings? And they told me no, because it would just be a distraction to me.
yeah,
So for me, I don't need it. I just go into it and do it. But I think for other people, like, it's also depends on what you're accessing
yeah.
and what
100%.
guides are channeling through you. So you probably need to be
Mhm,
shot up,
mhm.
and because you're accessing this certain guide or energy, whereas I'm accessing something
Different.
different.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I think something that would be cool, actually, I'm gonna rephrase that. I'm working on not saying think, because if I'm saying it, I obviously do. Um, Something that would be cool to talk about is our sovereignty, is the fact that, I mean, there is a shield around our soul, that we are divinely protected at all times. And fear isn't real. And so, but I will say we're human. And so let's say there's somebody that might already be having some interactions with spirit, like, for example, maybe angel numbers, or they're starting to notice different synchronicities in their reality, or maybe they feel different entities. That's what just kind of information is coming through. What would you say to someone that is starting to have some experiences that they maybe have never had before?
yeah. So I think the first thing is, like, notice your reaction. Are you going into fear? Because that is going to sort of weaken that shield of sovereignty. And what I do find is a lot of people who are just beginning to notice these things and starting to feel different and maybe having a few timelessness experiences, one of the things that they come to me immediately for is they feel like they need a spiritual hygiene clearing, because they feel all these things are different, and they're starting to feel the influence of negative projections or maybe spells, entities, demonic influences, all these things that we're not allowed to talk about in normal interactions with people. But the fact is that these things happen, and people are starting to feel them more and more. And so what happens when I look into their energy field is that they are almost completely unshielded.
Mm,
So for whatever reason, their energy field is really weak. And I call it a grid of sovereignty.
mm,
That's actually what I place on them, is a grid of sovereignty, because for some reason it's gone, or it's very weak, or they've forgotten that they have that available to them, and so they just think that they have to allow in all of these influences. They think it's just part of their life. They've lived like that their whole life, so
yeah.
why not? So that's one of the, like, in every clearing I do, I definitely put a grid of sovereignty around everybody,
Mhm,
because that's the one thing that we could all use more of.
mm. It's just, and
And
oh, go ahead, please.
oh, no, please ask your question.
Oh, it wasn't gonna be a question. It was gonna be a statement. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to say, I could even just tell everybody, a simple thing that they can do to do that on their own, because they don't need to hire me to put a grid of sovereignty on them.
That's what
So,
I was gonna share too. So this is cool.
okay, good. So as you know, our minds are very powerful.
Mm,
And as you were just saying, fear isn't a thing, but thoughts are definitely a thing. So just imagine yourself in a bubble. And I know that this is old advice, because I've heard this, oh, I'm in this bubble and I'm whatever, nobody can get me. But this is not the idea. It's not, oh, I need to be in a bubble to be safe. It's like, hey, remember, you have this energy field. You are sovereign. You're a sovereign being. You need to remember it. You need to see it in your mind's eye. So I will see a very thick, probably a couple feet energy field, like golden white light around the person I'm working with, and just that they're completely encompassed in this. And then I wrap around them these special wires. And so if you're at home and you're just thinking, oh, I don't have access to this special wire. Yes, you do, because you know about it now, right? And just wrap it around your energy field the way that the lines are the latitude and longitude lines of a globe. Just lay those wires around you in both directions, and then just say, this grid of sovereignty has the properties that only allow in love and light. This grid of sovereignty has the properties that reflect back anything that's non-beneficial or negative for me. They reflect back projections, anything like that. Anything that's non-beneficial for me, it just reflects it back and sends it back to the sender, or back to the earth to be loved and absorbed, or something like that. And so you always have this grid of sovereignty around you. And I do that for houses too.
Literally, we're on the same wavelengths. Because that's people forget that our imagination is a really powerful tool. And a lot of times your spiritual experience can start as imagination, and then suddenly it's not. Suddenly there are other external things that are happening. I like to call on Archangel Michael. I have a relationship with Archangel Michael. So in moments that, and he's known as the warrior archangel. So there are times where I will call on him and ask him to remove something, or be with me, or cover me in golden light direct from source. Another thing that I will do is, it's just 2 sentences, is I am here and here is now. I am here and here is now. It just regrounds me and puts me back into my body. And I'm no longer the thoughts, but rather the observer of the thoughts that I'm having. Well, that's beautiful, though. Let's see here. Well, with reference to, you talked about in particular, this is a cool offering for folks. So if individuals did want to spend some time with you regarding getting a clearing, which again, they can do themselves, but that is something that you offer.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people come to me for that, and usually one is good. But what I will say is that usually that's oftentimes that's someone's first step, or it's something that they've they recently had an experience, or got psychically attacked a lot, or something like that. And so then I'll do some other techniques. But yeah, most of the time people come to just get a clearing, and I clear out entities and demonic influences and non-beneficial frequencies and energies, and I go through their entire body, and I look at anything that's stuck in their body, because as you know, the idea is that it takes a while to get integrated into your body. So oftentimes I'll see entities that are partially in someone's body, or they're not quite there yet. They're just waiting.
Kind of what I see. If and when I do those types of scans, it's like the body is glowing, and this is all through my third eye, but then I'll see a splotch of darkness on their back shoulder. And it almost looks like a starfish or something. And so that's how I have the same experience that you do in that sense. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love going through the body, because a lot of times that gives people immediate
100.
results.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's when you do things like just clearing their house and clearing implants. A lot of people are carrying around implants. Um, Oftentimes they don't feel the influence of that being deactivated because sometimes the implants are just there to watch and wait.
Mhm.
Um, and so all kinds of interesting stuff that comes up doing these clearings, and I very much like to do it. Yeah, it's a fun first step,
Yeah.
and a lot of people after they do that, then they feel an amazing sense of relief that they had never felt before because a lot of us carry these things around with us
Mhm.
since birth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or very early on. I know I've had some people who have picked up things when they've gone to the hospital because
Mhm.
hospitals are places where we can pick up entities and different types of energies. Churches are a place where many people pick up demonic influences.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of crazy to think that you can just clear it. Like they don't belong there and
Yeah.
they don't have the sovereignty that you have, but they do if you're not aware and you don't know any better.
Yeah. And I would call that, and we're going to switch topics here in a second, but like an invitation. And the invitation doesn't have to be like, I want to connect with this thing. It could be like, I'm feeling really sad today. And then that sadness, all of a sudden, something energy is going by that floats at the same frequency of sadness, and it connects to you, and its job is to make you sad, and so then you're more sad, and then this entity that really isn't nefarious is like, I'm doing my job. So I want to say hello to Miss Amy Pearson is here. She says hi to us.
Hey, Amy.
um so let's see. I want to switch gears. I want to talk about dreams for a minute. um I love dreaming, like sincerely, and something that I've been practicing lately, and it just anyone can do this is asking for specific dreams before I go to bed at night. Like almost when I'm in that, I would call it like borderline theta state, where I'm not quite asleep, but I'm getting ready to go to sleep. And I'll ask for like, show me something cool about my gifts tonight. Or this is me being vulnerable. I like to have like romantic dreams. Those are fun for me too. So um if why what benefit if someone hasn't is not interested in their dreams, which I've never really met a single person that isn't interested in their dreams, but what can our dreams tell us?
Oh my gosh, Tiffany, they tell us everything.
This is for the viewers, Janine.
Yeah, but it's like, where would I start? Well, as I said in the beginning, I look at my dreams to know how do I need to use my gifts?
Yeah,
What do people need from me? And how can I express my joy in this world? And instead of thinking about that, I just wait for a dream.
yeah, yeah,
And of course, I'll use my intuition through the day or, oh, I think I need to do things this way or it feels right to do things that way. Yeah, I'll do that too, but when it shows up in a dream, for some reason dreams are so much more tangible to me than really
mm,
anything else.
yeah,
Especially when you have learned this how to speak in symbols,
yeah,
because a lot of people, they'll have a dream and it will be about another person and they will immediately think, oh, this dream was about a future event and I got to watch out for that person. Um, but actually, it's not that at all. Almost all the time, it's about what is similar between you and that person
mm,
and how does that show up in your life,
yeah,
and what can you do to peel off that layer or that trigger, or what is it that's holding you back because of that what showed up in the dream. It's almost never that you need to, not be friends with that person.
Yeah. Do you ever, I think this would be such a fun live event to do. I would have to figure out, technology, they just say that some people are just better at technology than I am, but I would love to like put together a compilation of like 20 different dreams that like are in cartoons or like, in sitcoms or something. And, the dream is for what they're saying it is, but it like dreams aren't as literal as what people think that they are. I think that that would be uh, a fun live event to do. I have a question for you. Do you mind? I'm not going to share my whole dream, but I had a couple of unique symbols that showed up in a dream for me the other day. And I definitely know, so it's in my hometown. It was at, a coffee shop that my mom used to own. So I already know that this is going to be about influences from that time in my life that are showing up at this time in my life. But it's a coffee shop, and there's really long lines. Like people just keep coming. Like there's 2 windows and I'm making drinks, and it's not actually a really stressful experience, but every time I go to give a drink, I look out and I'm like, wow, there's more cars that are lined up. And all of a sudden, and the back door to this coffee shop was open, and suddenly this man comes in and he's got sunglasses on. He's got a seat. He's blind. He's got a walking cane and this massive black dog, which I ended up looking up the breed. It's called a Newfoundland, which is like Newfoundland. When you like, that's how it's spelled. And he came in, and the dog was literally like almost bigger than the counters. And I think he thought I was going to be really upset that the dog was in there, and I could care less. And I started playing with the dog. And then he left. That was just one little segment of the dream. So that might not be enough for you to share with me, why that blind man came in with the cane. I also, something else that was a big symbol in that is I had a backpack on, an bright orange backpack the whole time until the very end. I'm like, why am I wearing this backpack? And I took it off and I put it on the ground. That was another thing that transpired in the dream.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely full of symbolism. Ideally you don't want to see a blind person in a dream. I've had that before too. Because it's like there's something off with your connection, your channeling connection, because eyes are all about how you're a channel, or there's just something that you're blind to. It's like there was this huge dog, right? Huge dog. So that when things are huge in a dream, then that's usually pointing to a thing that's really big for you. And what do dogs represent? Well, it can be different things, but in this case, it's about your true nature.
Yeah.
So your nature, like it's natural for you to be a channel. So the 2 different windows also of the coffee shop are indicating that you have this special ability. And I love that so people coming to get coffee is about people are coming to you for you to share your gift with them. And so coffee is about sharing, because usually we think about, oh, we're going to sit down and have a cup of coffee with someone. So people are coming for you to share with, but there's something that you're not seeing about who you really are. And maybe you're afraid because the dog is black. So it's like you could fear your power to influence people a little bit.
There is a component of that for sure. And why, how that resonates is, I definitely, so I have access to let me slow down here. My guides are, they're starting to become really active in this moment. So we talked about Akashic Records earlier. I just want to share with folks, Akashic Records are, let's say, it's the consciousness of what has been, is, and will be. That's the best way for me to describe what Akashic Records are. Would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think that's probably the way I described on my website too. But when you really think about it, it's just kind of like it's access to all the different dimensions and all of the knowledge in all the dimensions.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. So I also have access to those. But how mine works is more like when I'm channeling for folks, I just know that what we're talking about right now, you've experienced in a past life. And that's why it's coming up. It's not like I intentionally go and access them. It's just this information is given to me. And there's a past life that I had um, where and the imagery that I get is like ancient Egypt and almost like that I was a pharaoh and I was one who had a lot of power, which I have and will have equivalent amount of power in this lifetime in reference to the influence on people. But in that lifetime, I got the power through domination versus uplifting people and people wanting to share with me. It was like, do this or I will kill you, essentially, or I will turn you into a slave. And that's even why, for me, I haven't, my guides don't really want me to do any past life regression work because there are a couple of shortcuts that I could get by doing that past life regression work that would alter the path of this life, but not in a beneficial way. I need to figure out how to do this for myself. And so there are times with my channeling that I want to be conscious of the intention around the channeling, which apparently, or could be, again, this is a snippet of the dream, could be I could be putting limitations on myself.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, it does show that this is coming, and
Mm-hmm.
and you're up for the task,
Yeah.
because you're doing it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely the blind man coming in through the back door is an indication of past life influences coming
Yes.
into this
I feel,
lifetime.
and he was wearing these massive sunglasses as well, which was interesting. I'm like, why does a blind man need sunglasses? So, again, all of the symbolism. So, I just think for folks, if you are curious about your dreams at all, whether you're watching this now or you're watching this at a later date, um, dreams were such a fundamental part of my connection with spirit. So albeit I would know these things consciously, the integration of the knowledge was a whole different thing. But it was really cool to start to pick apart my dreams and understand why certain things would come up. And, I have, I'm sure you have this too, but I have a lot of reoccurring symbolism. And I'm sure other people have reoccurring symbolism that happens in their dreams as well. Um, I just think dreams are so yummy. I mean, when I wake up and I have a dream, the first thing that I do is I pull out my computer and I write down what my dream was about. I might not do anything more with that, but I always like to get it out before it goes into the ether.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was looking at some dreams from 1 year ago the other day,
Oh, okay.
and I was just blown away by how accurate they are to what I'm doing now. And that, like, I had a lot of dreams talking about what I was going to be doing with this 12 chakra birth wound transformation journey. And it's all right there a year ago. And it was only, recently that I was prompted by a dream. And I think when I was channeling, that I needed to add more chakras into it, and I needed to work with Melissa Brunheller on program clearing during the birth wound journey. But like when I go back and look,
Mhm.
I see like, oh, it was all there
There is
already.
Oh, like I'll never forget working with Michael Sheridan, who we talked about earlier. And he was interpreting a dream with me, and I was wearing these like black shoes in the dream. And he was like, kind of, not kind of. It means that you're moving forward in life, but with fear, that there's some sort of fear or choice that you're making. And I was like, denial, denial, denial. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And looking back, I had taken this job in corporate America again. And I didn't last there but like fucking 2 months. It wasn't a fit, but I didn't know how to like just step into this. So I was like going back to corporate America. And now I see it like, and I'm sure, there's so many other things that have happened, but that was just one that really stood out that I was like, oh my gosh, how did I miss that? But when you're in it, you're in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, so it's important to have those dreams looked at, because they're going to give you so much guidance that you don't realize. And so even a lot of people who work with me specifically do dream coaching.
Mm.
So, we have several sessions and we look at their dreams, and they learn a lot also about dream interpretation just by looking at their own dreams with me. And that's sort of like the next level. So after you've done a lot of trauma release and your dreams start to show all of your gifts and how to use them and how to implement them, it's like a whole other level of using dreams to
Yeah.
run your life, basically. And so yeah, I would just encourage everybody to, if you're not looking at your dreams right now,
Mhm.
start to. I know there's people saying I don't remember my dreams, but
Yes.
you would be surprised at, even just after watching this video, you'll probably have a dream that
Yeah.
you remember.
Yep.
And there's techniques that you can start to use to have better recall. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people who work with me in the beginning, they say, yeah, I never have dreams. I don't remember my dreams. And then they listen to one of my recordings and then they have 10 dreams.
Yeah. That's beautiful. One quick way that helps me to remember my dreams is I just actually like drink a lot of water before I go to bed
Huh.
because it requires me to get up. I'm like, I have to be restless for a little bit. And it takes me out of that state. And then I've got, probably time wise is only a minute, but it's a whole 3 paragraphs of a dream. That's something that helps me. But there are definitely other ones too. We have about 15 minutes left or less than, if you can believe that. Hey, Buttermilk, dude, my dog, her allergies are going bananas right now. And she's just like
Oh,
chewing on her little toes. Um, is there, I wanted to jump into this jar of questions. So I wanted to ask a few, but what is, I get that there, is there some things that you want to share before we jump into this jar of questions? Like things that are on the front of heart for you?
yeah. When we were talking earlier, you said something that I hadn't even really thought about, and it was about how are you sort of wrapping up
Oh, yes.
2024
You want to
and
hear
moving.
closing out your year, like with
Yeah.
or
And
even
that
first.
was
Yeah.
exciting to think about because, as you know, I'm extremely busy because I have a full-time job that definitely keeps me busy, and I do all of this stuff, on the side. But the two things that I'm just so excited about, I already talked about the Galactic Partner Integration starting November 2nd, but um, Melissa Brunheller, and I are working on this 12 chakra birth wound transformation journey. And the way we do it is, I have recordings that, and in my dreams, I was shown in my dreams um, that my voice carries certain frequencies that help bring up traumas and sort of break up the frequency and allow it to be ready to be cleared,
Mhm.
whether that's programming that we have around, fears, or for me in particular, it was that giving my power away, so I had all of this programming and I would just repeat the same thing over and over again. Or sometimes it's past life karma. And when it's past life karma, Kimbra, and I don't know how to say her last name,
Mm.
Fracalosi. I'm so sorry, Kimbra. I don't know how to say it. Oh my gosh. Um, she's part of the 12 chakra birth wound transformation journey too, and she'll come in and basically she has this beautiful gift of being able to unravel and detach from somebody's lifetime unnecessary past life karma.
Okay.
And so all of those things, programming gets addressed, past life karma, traumas from being born, which
Yes.
I haven't even gotten into, but I'll just say really quickly, the birth wound is so pervasive and
Mm,
so important.
mm,
I think we all have one. We may not know what they are. Some of them are from physical issues that happened. Like, I have somebody who had the cord wrapped around their
mhm,
throat when as they were being born, and they had dreams of a man being hung in the rafters and blood everywhere, and it was just a horrible scene. And
mm,
so that trauma, even just because they weren't logical at that time, doesn't mean that that wasn't traumatic, and that it didn't make them feel like the reproductive system was a
mm,
horrible place.
yeah.
And so therefore, the way that I came into this world was horrible. So everybody's out to
I
get
just
me. How it just
mhm,
spins off from there.
mhm,
Which I'm exaggerating a little bit, but when you're a baby and you don't have logic and you can't see things that way, that's actually how you end up feeling.
mhm,
And that gets lodged into you right at the moment of birth, and it just carries with you. And you never know any better because you've always been that way. You've always carried that feeling like there's something around the corner that's going to get you, or you're going to die for no reason, something like that.
mhm,
So, the birth wound, healing the birth wound is so important. And what I see is after about 3-4 weeks going through this journey, it's a 6-week journey.
okay.
Around the third or fourth week, what starts to show up for people is really unique gifts
Mm,
of gifts that they have that are very special to them, that they left or sort of pushed aside and tried to keep it safe. They pushed it on into the other realm, let's say, to
yeah,
keep it safe, because when they were being born, they realized how, I'm just going to say, quote, horrible it
yeah,
was here.
mm,
And it's not until now, once they've been addressing the birth wound, that they realize that actually this dimension is pretty cool, and
mm,
life is really cool, and there's the opportunity for so much joy and compassion here on earth. So those are the kinds of feelings that start to come up when you start to unravel that birth wound.
mm. That's so beautiful. People ask me regularly, just like, how can I heal? And it's such a layered question. Healing is as unique as your DNA. But I'd never even thought about that as a way of healing our current experience, related to our birth and how we carry
Yeah,
that with us.
it's amazing. You see it all the time in people's dreams, and your birth dreams also show your gifts and your life purpose. So,
Mm,
of course, any traumas that are related to birth are holding you back from fully experiencing your life purpose and fully coming out with your gifts.
mm,
So, that's why I think, like, I spend a lot of time taking people through the birth wound journey, because it's just so important.
yeah.
And it wasn't until recently that the way that I took people through the journey significantly changed, and that was adding on the programming clearing that Melissa does. It's amazing. And if
Mm,
you remember your dreams throughout the journey, I will look through your dreams. I will scan where I see the programming, and then I'll tell Melissa, "Hey, here's the programming," and then Melissa clears it. And then the next week when I look at your dreams, all of that shows that it's been cleared. Almost always it's been cleared. And there's a few times when there's some remaining hanging on, related pieces to that clearing that need extra attention. But it's really amazing the work that Melissa does with the birth wound journey, and also Kimbra, getting rid of people's karma, and she also does gift retrieval. So
mm,
it's, I guess, not everybody can do the gift retrieval or the karma unraveling, but she checks, and it's really amazing when she is able to do that for you.
Yeah, because I would think that there, sometimes we have things in our energy because it's part of this life experience, and we need it still for the growth of the soul. To
Yeah.
remove would alter the experience that we are having.
Exactly. Yeah. And in the birth wound, it's the she only works on the past life karma. And
Okay.
that comes up a lot of times in birth dreams, because what I also see often in birth dreams is that people jump from one lifetime to the next almost
Mhm.
immediately. They'll go, like, how it shows up in a dream is just going out one door and in another door, and out one door and in another door, or like a line of row houses or something like that. And so we try, like, we have all of these earth experiences, trying and trying to
Mhm.
get rid of this karma.
Yeah.
But the karma keeps bundling, it keeps rolling up, and it just becomes too big to handle. So
Mhm.
Kimbra is able to take that
Mhm.
away, because we don't need that.
Yeah. Yeah. Some karma, though. Well, we do need karma, though, in some respects. I mean, we're going through an ascension process, but karma for me, I don't look of as a negative thing
Oh,
whatsoever.
absolutely not. It's neutral.
Yes,
It's
exactly. There's no
neutral.
judgment. Yes.
Yeah.
Too often people like, this is what people resonate with is, I don't know, somebody says a snarky remark and then they trip, right? They're like, oh, karma. It's like, that's not, karma doesn't have judgment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Karma is here as a lesson, or to teach us something. So, okay, we got is there anything else you would like to share, my dear?
Well, I know that you're dying to get to one of those jar questions, so let's do it. We only have 4 minutes.
Yeah. Well, this will be quick anyway. I just haven't been in this jar for like a few months. So, um, I guess, and my guides are excited too. So, oh, okay. So this is what came up. Why do people have reoccurring dreams?
Oh, why do people?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because there's something that they're blind to.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that they keep being nudged to address, to release, to unravel, but they haven't gotten there yet. So it's just going to keep showing up again and again and again. Usually it's because it's really important for your next step. So sometimes you're just going to continue to have these kinds of dreams until you address exactly that, and then other things will open up to you. I think a great example that a lot of people know about is Ann Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
She'll say she had dreams and dreams and dreams of her digestive system, and how she needed to clean up her diet, and how everything was all messed up. And it was not until she got all that cleared up that her gifts shifted in a different way. So none of us are immune from ignoring guidance and ignoring what we need to do.
Yeah. I will say when I was 5, I had what I would call night terrors, and I had the same dream hundreds of times, and my whole family got killed in the dream.
Mm.
And I now know that is by these 3 men, and I now know that it is connected to a past life. This life, the dream was connected to a past life where I was murdered by 3 men. But I'm just thankful. I mean, if I had that dream today, I would have a whole different experience. But when I was little, that was really terrifying. And I had it over. And then I would get on my bike and I just couldn't get away. And then I would wake up. I was the only survivor, which was interesting.
Yeah. And it's
Mhm.
too, like, when you're a child and you have that, it's not like you can tell the child, "Oh, you just need to do some trauma
Yes.
release," right?
And
But it's good to recognize that children are so much closer to their past lives than we are. They're just so much closer to it. So if that happens to your child,
Mhm.
you can help them release that.
Mhm.
As the parent, of somebody 18 or younger, or whatever age you think is appropriate that your child would do it on their own, um, you can do that for them.
How
So
would you
there's
do that? I know we're gonna go over here, but how would you do that?
I would probably do,
Like have them go back into the dream, or what would we?
I would go back into the dream for them. I would reimagine it for them. I would,
Mm-hmm.
gosh, yeah, there's so many things that you can do because again, your mind is so powerful. And especially if you're a powerful projector, you can just hold that dream in your mind and change it and allow the child to confront what's happening. You can just imagine all of this for your child.
Mm-hmm.
And you can ask, like, you can just say, I ask the system to, scramble the frequency of this past life for my child and change it to the frequency of peace and joy.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many options that we have available to us to help us out. We just need to use those options.
Yeah. And trust. That's the other thing. There were so many times. I know. I know I had a spiritual connection as a child. There were so many things, especially energies. I would walk into rooms and I could just feel entities there that were um, nefarious. Let's put it that way. I could just feel them, but I was told it wasn't true, and everything was just dismissed for me as a child. So then I just stopped telling them, and again, I chose my parents. I chose everything that happened to me, but something that I see sometimes is, somebody telling their child that that's just not true, versus tell me more about what you see.
Hmm.
Describe it to me. How does it feel? Do they say anything? Can you see them? I'm here with you. You're safe. Just getting really curious versus getting into the telling component. That just like is not, I don't care if you're 2 or if you're 100, telling is just not helpful. I don't like friends that just tell me what to do. That's not the type of frequency I'm seeking. Let's see here. Okay. I guess we're going to be wrapping this thing up. If anybody has any questions that they would like to ask Janise while we're here, please shoot them forward. Thank you so much for, those who joined. Our energy is somewhat of a finite resource in this, perception of time. And so you could be doing really just about fucking anything else. And you chose to be here. If you want to get a hold of Janise, her contact information will be in the description box below. And again, like I said at the beginning of this, if there's a question that you have after this has been recorded, ask it. Post it in the comments section, and I can connect with Janise and we'll get you an answer. Yeah. If you benefited from this as an exchange of energy, I just like to ask that you give a thumbs up. That is a beautiful exchange. I give, we give, and then you give something in return. I love you all very much. We'll see you next week. I have an awesome guest next week, April Angel. Janise and I both probably learned from her as an instructor at the Ashling School. So it's going to be all things dreams, but also relationships, and who knows what else is going to come up. So thanks, everybody. I love you all very much. We'll see you next time.